So this is the Moto G4, the fourth generation of Moto's popular G series. This is the $199 variant without the fingerprint scanner. What we're going to find out right here is if the specs and the price have the speed to match going up against the other mid-rangers right around $199. Let's find out right now. Let's go. So here is the Moto G4, and let's go ahead and turn this guy on and see the confirmation of the software here. So going into settings, we're going to scroll down until we find About Phone. And if we go down a little bit further, you are going to see we are running Android version 6.0.1 Marshmallow, which is a very tasty treat for this device. So let's go ahead and just see what the CPU-Z specs show. So we do have a Snapdragon 615 processor here, two A53 cores, and those are clocked in at 1.5 gigs. So you can see we do have 2 gigabytes of RAM, and we do have 1920 by 1080p display. Let's go ahead and see how long it takes to power this device off, and we're gonna go ahead and power off. And from my testing, I did get it right around 15 seconds. As you can see, I'm trying to boot this guy on and it's still not off. So Motorola does that same thing that iPhone does, where they turn off the screen and it looks like it's off, but it's really not off yet. But there it goes. We are now powering on. And you guys can count for yourself how long it takes to boot up. But Lenovo and Motorola did throw some, kind of animations within the lock screen, which made this boot up a little bit longer than other devices. You're going to see this in a second. So we do have our little starburst rainbow effect after this Lenovo sign. So we have a Moto and a Lenovo sign. So that makes the boot up time longer. And I do believe an iPhone will smoke this on the boot up. But you can see right there, there is the Moto sign. It should be coming on very shortly here after this flicker. So here we go. We are now in the device here, so that's great. So let's go ahead now and just check the lock screen time. So you can see every time you press the button, there's no problem with the lock screen, and that is something that's not really a problem on most phones. But if you can't even get to your lock screen, that could be an issue. Let's just kind of look at the general UI now, and you can see that going through the whole device, it's just a buttery affair, very smooth. And just going through the settings menu and all that, this is pretty much stock Android, and we all know that this is pure vanilla experience, which always is going to make for a very, very nice experience here. So just going through the applications, I mean, this is not indicative of a scientific test, but you could see we do. So here, let's go into the clock here. And now we do have the clock, and we're going to hit play, and now we're going to go into these apps. Let's go into calendar. Let's come back out. Let's go into calculator. Let's come back out. Let's go into settings. Let's come back out. Let's go into camera. Let's take a quick snap. And when the end of this test comes, we're going to see how long this takes overall. But you can see the apps do fire open pretty decently. Not the fastest I've seen, but they are very buttery smooth with their nice animations. But you can see we're going to go into Chrome, do a quick Yahoo website search. So let's go to Yahoo really quickly here and see how this performs. So going into Yahoo, you can see this is depending on Wi-Fi network, but that was pretty quick. Let's go into the Best Buy application here. And by the way, if you pick up this device at Best Buy right now, they are offering a $50 gift card, which I did get with this device. So that's just a little nugget to let you guys know. But you can see Temple Run is running pretty decent. So we go into Play Store here, and everything just fires open pretty quickly. You can see here. But you know what? We're going through all these apps before we end this test here. So let's go ahead and see what the speed test opens up like. So there we go. Let's go to Geekbench really quickly, and we will run these tests in a little bit. But let's go into clock, and you can see 1 minute and 7 seconds on the total app, and that was quite a bit of applications there. Now let's go ahead and do just a quick speed test here. So let's go ahead and check that out really quickly, but after we do the multitasking switch. So you can see that had to reopen here. Let's go back into another application. Calculator had to reopen as well. Let's go into settings, reopen. So it looks like the RAM management is not the greatest here, and that's where you might get a little bit better of a deal for your 4 gigabytes of RAM version on the Plus variant. But going through, everything seemingly had to reopen. So this is where your price point is going to show for your $199. It's going to be in the RAM management. I mean, when you spend $800 for a phone, this is where everything is just going to stay put, and multitasking is going to be a beast. But overall, I still think you're going to have a pretty nice multitasking experience here overall. And you can see it just flies right on through. I mean, this is just a real world test. This is not scientific. We're just showing and seeing if we can get any hiccups and lags here. So let's go into the speed test here. And let's begin this test. Now, of course, this is, you know, based on your Wi-Fi connection. And let's go ahead and test this out really quickly. I'm not sure if this has AC. I believe it does. But if I was wrong on that one, go ahead and comment down below in the comment section to help us all out. But you can see 9 megabits down. Come on, you could hit the 10. Okay, 11.20 on the down. So what about the upload on this guy right here? So it looks about even. So, you know, it's a pretty decent speed phone overall. I mean, like I say, it's not going to be the fastest in the world, but because of stock Android, it makes for a very smooth experience. So if you're looking for a very smooth experience, you're going to get it here. The fastest in the world, probably not, but very smooth nonetheless. Let's retest this one more time. And look, you can see we are pulling in a bit better on the second test. So the testing does make a big difference here when it comes to, you know, your Wi-Fi networks and things of that nature. On the upload, you can see we got 12 megabits down here coming down on the second test. So overall, pretty decent Wi-Fi speeds as well as pretty decent app speeds. Now let's go into Geekbench and test this out really quickly here. So we are going to run the Geekbench really quickly here, and we're going to kind of skip through if it takes too long, just to get kind of a good idea of the scores that you're going to get on your benchmarking. Now I know a lot of people love Geekbench and, you know, just seeing those performance scores, although I don't really think they're indicative of real world performance. It never really changed my experience on any of the devices. So we're going to skip ahead to the end and see what kind of score we get here on the Moto G4, the regular version. So you can see we got 721 on the single core and 3063 on the multi-core score, which is pretty respectable if you ask me for a budget device. So if we go down, you can see this is similarly spec'd in, you know, Geekbench scoring around the OnePlus One, Galaxy S5 here, the Kindle Fire HDX7. So you can see that on the multi-core score, it's pretty close to, let's see here. Let's see, we got the Moto Nexus 6, the Nexus 9. So those weren't no, you know, devices to laugh at, you know, the Moto Nexus 6. So it's pretty much on par with the Nexus 6 in terms of performance here on the multi-core score. And I could just imagine that the one with the 4 gigabytes of RAM is even better than this. So you might want to spend the $50 extra if you really need that extra horsepower. But I think most people actually will not need that extra horsepower. That's a pretty practical phone and it just runs like butter. So that's pretty much going to wrap this review up of the Moto G4. Now this was not a scientific test, more of a real world test, just to see if we can get any hiccups or lags. But anyway guys, if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and click the like button for me down below. It shows your support, and comment down below with any ideas, suggestions. We will have a gaming review. Be sure to be well, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.